Well, GM, everybody, happy Friday. Sorry, I still have a little bit of a cold here. Hopefully, it won't be too bad. Imagine that. I go down in the sunshine in Southern California, but nonetheless, crazy roller coaster market we had yesterday. I mean, unbelievable. Welcome. I'm Crypto Bull Ron. Welcome to the daily opening bell crypto updates where we look at all the news you missed over the last night and all the macro conditions that may affect what's going to go on, what the crypto price, Bitcoin price, things like that. Not really so much about a stock show, just kind of as crypto does kind of get treated like Bitcoin does kind of get treated like a risk asset. We just want to be able to look at all how the macro conditions are affecting us. Just checking real quick, make sure we're live. We're live here on YouTube. Trying to do live on Rumble. I started going live on TikTok as well. Just got on TikTok yesterday. Started playing around with that. It's amazing their algorithm, how good it is. How with no followers, first day on there, I've already got like a few thousand hits on a couple videos I posted. So kind of amazing. Just going to open the video here, make sure everyone can hear me. It is. Okay. Yeah, it looks like we're live on Twitter or X now. Was able to start a little earlier. So yeah, it looks like we're good on all. Let's see if we're live. Yep, looks like we're good on all formats. So I am Crypto Bull Ron. Been in crypto for 15 years. Been doing a live Spaces show on X for 4 years now, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to reach out a little more, do a little different. Well, I stream just because and things like that, so it's a little bit different, maybe maybe a little bit different than what you can normally see here. So, little different audience, and also spread out to some of these other formats. Do one cast and send it out to more formats. I am still doing the show I've been doing for 4 years, GM Bitcoin Morning Show. That's it. That's every Monday through Friday. It's from 10 to 11 a.m. Eastern time, and have some co-hosts and stuff. Great show. A lot of the same stuff we'll be covering here, but like I said, I have co-hosts and a couple co-hosts, and also have speakers come up and whatnot. So it's a little different. I am going to go in here, and I don't know how well my camera's tracking, so I'm going to go up here and lose my little picture-in-picture down here. So audio, yeah, it looks like it's a little bit delayed. So I'm going to just go and. Not sure why that is, but anyway, here we are. I'm gonna get back to the chat. Yeah, so my should be able to chat whether you're watching live. If you happen to be live from watching from YouTube, Rumble, or X, feel free to drop a comment in there. I should see them all. I do see we have quite a few people watching us live on X. But anyway, a crazy brutal day yesterday, man. One of the really brutal day. If we look over at Bitcoin, I mean, geez, down for the day now, but it's rebound 67,000. Geez, we got all the way down to 60,864. Yeah, it really feel like the bottom had come out and was not coming back, and but now we got a little rebound. So yeah, so think about that. We've come back almost $10,000. We've rebounded almost $10,000 from our low there. So absolutely brutal day. I don't care. I've been here 15 years, full time for 10. And I'll tell you what, it was a brutal crash. I thought it was going to keep going. But luckily it didn't. I did post a couple of live videos for TikTok, and I think I posted them here as well. Just calm down and stuff. Because if you're new, you really might feel, and you believe all the FUD and all the news out there, you really may feel like the sky's falling and this is all over, right? So definitely not the case at all. So anyway, I wanted to calm people down a little because eventually you just kind of become numb to it, and you come back, you feel you panic sell all your Bitcoin, and then it comes back and you're like, oh, okay, I overreacted, and you buy it back at a higher price. Once you do that a few times, you tend to eventually just become numb to it all. So, but if you're new here, I know you can get, I know it can really feel terrifying at times. So I want people to calm down. I remember when I was earlier on, people watching some people didn't seem to be as shaken up about it seemed to help calm my nerves a little bit. So hopefully we can do the same for people here who are a little bit newer. But anyway, yeah, I'm look, I'm going to be breaking down. I'm going to be breaking down all the stuff that affects your price. I'm going to be, talking about it and give you my best shot. Reality is nobody knows for sure. The cycles, history. It's like they say, history isn't the same, doesn't repeat, but it all often rhymes. So hopefully, those of us who've been here for a while can help give you a little bit of knowledge. I'll tell you one thing I wanted to emphasize. When I learned this, it was kind of life changing for me. Bitcoin really only pumps like 12 to 15 days a year max. Real big pumps, real big candles, even like at $10,000, like today. Okay. And of course, we're way down. That's one thing. But this kind of a pump only happens 10 to 15 times, 12 to 15 times a year. So the rest of 29 days out of the month, basically once a month, right? So the rest of the time, we're just here surviving. And there's an old saying, time in the market beats timing the market. Now, depending on what your strategy is, I'm more of a long-term investor, long-term holder, right? I'm not so much of a trader. If you are, then you play a completely different game. You might be in and out for minutes, but I believe if you can understand that we're only going to have like a $10,000 pump like we did in the last virtually not even 24 hours, that's only going to happen 10 or 15 times max in a given year. So the rest of the time, we're just here surviving. We're on a death march. We're on a marathon. I like to say we're on a 10,000-mile death march because I think a marathon doesn't quite explain it. This is year after year, ups and downs. And every about once a month, we have those euphoric days. We're here jumping up and down, playing fun music, celebrating. But most of the time, that's not the way it is. So time in the market beats timing the market. And what that means, if you're a long-term holder or just a casual investor, you're better off being in there because how are you going to know? I've been here 15 years. Okay. Before that, I've been investing in stocks for over 40 years. How do I know when those days are going to come? You can't always see them coming. You usually don't. We didn't know yesterday if we were going to keep going down. Watching that 200 week moving average around 58, 59. I thought we were going to for sure hit that. We came very close. Some people calling for 50. I heard people today, some wave traders calling for $25,000 Bitcoin. So I don't think we go that low, but my point is we don't know when that happens. So what we have to do is just keep ourselves busy. Dollar cost average, to me, that's the best strategy. But I'm not a financial advisor, never have been. And I'm certainly not your financial advisors. What I hope to do is educate you, give you some of my opinions, and then you can do your own research. But anyway, one of the main things I want to do, let's take a look at the futures here. They affected. They're looking pretty good, actually. They look like they're going to open up in the green, which was so bad yesterday that's not surprising. Often you'll have a rebound when you have that kind of a day. But the NASDAQ here is looking to open up 0.61%. The Dow, about the same. I'm seeing about 0.58. Pull that chart up. So, these can affect, different things can affect the different indices. I like to mainly watch the NASDAQ and the S&P. But yeah, the Dow's looking to open up 0.57. S&P looks about the same, 0.58. So we're looking right now, 0.58, 0.58, 0.63. We're looking to have a good opening. Gold up 1%. Still hasn't got back that 49. But anyway, silver and gold have been pretty volatile. But that happens after a euphoric run. Let's take a look here. So I expect the markets to open green. I expect Bitcoin, we'll see. We've already popped back $10,000. So it's not to for sure say we're going to bounce back with the market opening, but it doesn't hurt. You can almost be sure if the market opens green, eventually it'll take Bitcoin down, even if Bitcoin's gotten destroyed over the night. So Bitcoin right now, 66,986. down 4% for the day, up 1% for the last hour. But like I say, that's after a $10,000 rebound from the lows yesterday. Ethereum, 1944, excuse me. And we're talking, we dropped down to 1775. Wow. Both historic dates. 1776, of course, being the founding of America. Anyway, that's good. BNB 641 got that. Wow. If you look at the yearly high, that was the yearly high was 1324. So we're way down. We're down almost more than half. Let's look at XRP. A lot of XRP fans, man, just starting to dip my toe into TikTok. There's a lot of crazy so much XRP content. Now I know why so many normal people out there think XRP is like the second coming. I mean, you would think it's Bitcoin over there, but that's fine. It's a solid project for sure. I made a lot of money, especially that first time I bought it for, I don't even know if I bought it sub penny or around 1 or 2 pennies, ran all the way up to like, I don't know if it was 210 or 310 or 340, something like that. Made big money early on with XRP. So I can't hate on XRP, but I maybe have to go in and tamp down some of the enthusiasm on TikTok. It's absolutely crazy over there. People who clearly don't know what the hell they're talking about. But anyway, it's all good fun. But hey, XRP fam, shout out to the XRP army out there. $1.41. Got all the way down to $1.14. Holy hell. Probably a time to buy yesterday. A time to buy anything yesterday. But look, it's already rebounded. And I told you, I've seen this for several months now. XRP is much more volatile to the upside and the downside every day than the rest of these top 10. I say that almost every day, and I see it almost every day. But up 4.1. So shout out to XRP bros out there. Solana, which is one of my biggest investments right now in the fund that I run. I have run a crypto kind of a hedge fund, kind of a venture fund since 2020. That's my full-time job. I'm just having fun here talking to you guys and appreciate everyone here. Also, I'm up to like 15, 16 followers on YouTube, which is cool because I've only been on YouTube for like 4 days now. So appreciate everyone watching my content. Follow me, if you like this kind of content. Coming here every morning, Monday through Friday with the Opening Bell Crypto Show, as well as I'm just coming up with some random contents. I actually posted a few shorts yesterday as well. So just come to you when I can, when I have ideas. So appreciate everybody. Yeah. So Solana 82.37 got all the way down to $70.34, man. Crazy. Still down 8% for the day. So man, Solana, listen, here's my real take. If you're looking at L1s right now and you're building a project, you're looking to do stable coins, you're looking to tokenize assets, I'm telling you have two choices. I'm not saying there's no other choices, but the main choice, Solana and Ethereum, those are the two that have the network effect. So you should probably own both, but Sol is not understood. And if you really look at the metrics, very impressive. And it's fast and cheap. I mean, how do you not like that? And it's doesn't have as much TVL, doesn't have as much stablecoin, but it's growing much faster. Wallets, everything, and sometimes way more volume. So don't discount Sol. I mean, Sol is misunderstood, and you're missing the boat. Vanguard still has a yearly target of $250 and a 2030 target of $2,000. My base case for Sol has always been $1,000. When it hits that, that's when I'll start taking a little bit of some off the table. Until then, I'm going to continue to stack. So anyway, all in all, we are losing a little bit here. As you can see, let's look at the hourly chart. Yeah, we kind of went up. We're losing a little bit here, but we'll see. We'll see when the market opens. All in all, positioned pretty well. Let's start talking about some of the news here. Market open in 6 minutes. We'll take a look at it, how we're doing. Wolf of Wall Street's our guy, Scott Melker, BTC Daily. RSI is currently the third lowest it has ever been on Coinbase. I believe this is the weekly, if I'm not mistaken. So the weekly RSI, third lowest in history. Only 2018, which was a horrible year, got way oversold and a crazy time to be around. But yeah, and the COVID crash. I remember the COVID crash. I was a partner in a salt mine down in Southern California, and I was at a big equipment show. They only hold every 4 years, and a lot of people didn't show up. And then they basically closed Vegas down. And I was driving home, and I remember Bitcoin dropped to $38,000 or $3,800 again. It was crazy, and it had been up over 10, 12, 15, whatever. So wow. So RSI, which is the relative strength index. If you look at it, you'll hear the terms overbought and oversold, and that is the relative strength index, the RSI. So the RSI, when it gets low like this, it starts to doesn't give you the absolute bottom, but it shows you're very close to bottom. If you look at that chart down there, there's only been two lower. And man, the COVID crash was, almost close. So we got really oversold yesterday. So that explains the $10,000 bounce here. Now listen, using leverage like flying an airplane. You don't just jump in an airplane you'd expect to wreck and kill yourself and everyone on board. Same with leverage, man. If you're going to play with leverage, you'd better know what you're doing, or you better get on a simulator and play with a couple of $100. It's very, very difficult. It's not like they say on TikTok with the guys with their rented Lambos and their fake Rolexes or fake APs or their fake Richard Mille watches, right? It's a tough game. And I do have some professional friends who do well at it, but it's for professionals. And so I generally say stay away from leverage because most people just get liquidated. And it's stupid. Not only people keep playing Russian roulette with, if you play Russian roulette, if you're familiar with it, a pistol 6-shooter has six holes. They'll put one bullet in, spin it, and shoot and see if they shoot themselves or whatever. Really stupid. But in this day and age, it's not like having one bullet, 1 in 6 chance. It's like having 5 chambers or maybe even all 6 chambers full. Just stay the hell away from it. But last night here from Crypto Seth, 580,440 traders were liquidated. 2.6 billion. I've heard numbers as high as 3.6 billion. Okay, one of the largest single liquidation days ever. Bitcoin minus 14%, $10,000. Crazy, right? Crazy. It was an epic day. If you lived through yesterday, congratulations. I'm glad you're here. Dust yourself off, get a blood transfusion, ice those wounds. Damn, dude. Congratulations if you're here the day after a day like that. Because that was, I guess I've been here 15 years. That was definitely top 20 brutal days. But you get numb to it after a while. And if you're sitting in spot positions, you just don't panic, you're fine. So anyway, stay the hell away from leverage, but tell people quit putting this leverage up. Right now, I heard there's 30 billion. There's 30 billion in longs right now, almost no short interest, 30 billion in long positions opened up. And that just makes it, makes it not interesting, enticing for the exchanges and the market makers to go up and do a short squeeze, which we could see a huge run up and come back down. So that's part of the problem, by the way. Fear and greed here at 9. Extreme fear, same thing. I don't know if they say how much that does, but the fear and greed rarely gets down to a 9. And I understand. Sometimes there's a disconnect there. Not today. It's definitely terrifying out there. So I get it. I really do get it. But another thing, it's one of my favorite macro indicators is fear and greed because the famous Warren Buffett saying, be fearful when others are greedy and be greedy when others are fearful. So right now, others are extremely fearful. You should be starting to be greedy or already be greedy. And historically, especially Bitcoin, if you buy fear, extreme fear, that's all you did. If all you did was use this indicator and bought when the fear was high and sold when the greed was high, you would do very well. That's the only strategy you really need. But most of us are looking at more indicators, and nothing is an exact perfect. It's not, perfect indicator. It really isn't. But this is a very good one. So Max Fear, I like Max Fear. Mark is just getting ready to open. Let's look at a couple more news stories here. Yeah, let's skip that. Tether. Tether's a stable coin, which means it's pegged to the US dollar, like USDC, and now Trump has one. XRP has one. There's quite a few up and coming stable coins, but Tether's the biggest by far. Now, yesterday we did see their market cap go down, which you almost never see. That means mass panic, mass selling. But today $1 billion was printed. When you see stable coin getting printed or minted, it means people are getting ready to buy. So good sign. And I believe all that was on. I believe that whole $1 billion was on Tron. So um, Tron is not used that much, but it's used. It's one of the highest ones for stable coins. A couple more news articles. We'll see how the market's doing. This is my guy, Grant Cardone. I remember when Grant Cardone didn't believe in Bitcoin, and especially his buddy Gary. Gary and I follow each other. We've done a few shows together. His brother's twin brother. I believe they're twins. They look almost identical. I believe they're twin brothers, if I'm not mistaken. Grant's obviously a real estate tycoon, and he was posting this. Bitcoin is crashing, so I have to say bye to the love of my life. Tough choices. 2024 Bombardier Global 7500 loaded, 5-year warranty, full programs, only 190 hours, full K brand and ready for Starlink. Interior's gorgeous. Find it on controller. So I think he's saying he's going to sell his jet. Yeah, what a pretty plane, man. Damn. I bet that thing costs, it's got to be 10, 12,000 an hour to operate. It's probably why he's only operated 150 hours. Anyway, Grant Cardone, whether he's tongue in cheek or not, he is doing some deals these days, and hats off to him because he's become quite a believer. And he's become a believer, and he's doing some kind of RWA, some mixtures where when he gets funding for his real estate deals, big deals, multi hundreds of millions or even $1 billion deals, he puts a little bit in there for Bitcoin. So say he raised $1 billion, he might raise 100 million and put that in Bitcoin. He recently, I think, bought 72 million in Bitcoin. Maybe it wasn't that much, but anyway, here I think he's hitting at the fact that he's going to sell his plane. So hats off to him. Here's a video I made yesterday on Grok. I'll show it to you right here. It's funny what I do. I actually took this picture. I go hiking almost every day. I live 5 minutes from the mountains. I live in the mountains for all intensive purposes. And I take pictures just of the trail when I'm hiking, and then I'll put these bears in with AI, Grok specifically. But I posted this yesterday at the right when it was literally right as we dropped below 61,000. I had the bear run. I've been using Grok and do this, and I'm especially starting to use it. Uh, Man, I got like 3 million views and 10,000 hours on my Grok videos, but the X algorithm doesn't like to. They're really going through it right now, trying to figure it out. Didn't even get one payment. Add that with over 100 million impressions. I didn't even get paid one penny. One of the reasons, not that I rely on this to pay my bills or anything, but it was kind of offensive. But anyway, especially since I was using Grok, advertising Grok. So anyway, I'm making those videos, putting them out there as kind of comedic relief, if you will. So anyway, let's go over and let's take a look at where we're at now. Let's take a look at the NASDAQ. Let's see where we're at. The market's been open for about 4 minutes. Okay, NASDAQ, you know what? Oh, that's still futures. No, that isn't the futures. NASDAQ up about what it said. We're up positive 0.59. Let's take a look at the Dow. I think the Dow has less of an effect than the NASDAQ, and S&P do, less correlation, but same thing, 0.55. And then S&P, so these are, it's about, kind of a boring day. There's Fridays that get really crazy, expiration days and stuff that are just can get nuts. But yeah, we're seeing S&P at 0.55. So for all intents and purposes, like we said when we first started the show, we had positive futures, and then it opened up positive. So let's see. I mean, it can get crazy. A lot of traders don't trade in the first hour. I've heard a lot of traders say they don't trade this first hour after opening just because you never know where it can go. JN, we got fear, false evidence appearing real. Yep. Thank you, JN. Good, one of my good friends from X there, JN. Appreciate you, buddy. I didn't see these earlier. Yeah, I like that acronym, false evidence appearing real. It's definitely a time to buy. And we heard from our guy now JN's coming to us from X, and it looks like Mass J575 coming to us from YouTube, which is awesome because I think this is my first comment ever on YouTube. Mass J575 saying XRP will have a huge 2026. And I agree. Like I say, I like XRP. I don't love XRP, but there's plenty of reasons to love it. I have started. And listen, part of my bias is that I like multi-100x to my money a couple of times on XRP. I've made huge money in XRP, and the narrative's changed, but I'll tell you, they're a behemoth. They're becoming a bank over in they're getting their banking license, I believe, over in the Middle East and trying in America and Europe. They've got, we mentioned, their stable coins. So yeah, I don't want to throw cold water on XRP, but appreciate it. Mass J575, my first ever commenter on YouTube, because I've only been here for 3 days. So yeah, I agree and appreciate you guys stopping in, listening to me live. And then JN said, no fear in me. Yeah, JN's been here. He's an OG. He's been here for a long time. You don't have fear. It's crazy. I mean, it was crazy yesterday. We'll all admit and say, wow, 14% drop in literally a few minutes. It was crazy. It's crazy red candle. You don't see that. Even I've been here 15 years. You don't see that every day. But yeah, we may step back and say, wow, that's crazy. But what we don't have is we don't have fear. So like to see that, Jay, and I hope everyone can be like you and get to where you don't have the fear, because it's definitely not productive. Well, look, let's take over. Look at the crypto markets right here. Let's see how we're faring. Hey, wow, nice. We were trying, we were happy we're at 68 now, or 67. Had a nice little bump. Let's look at that. Since the market opened 1.5, I'm happy about that. Look at that. This is the hourly chart. Yeah, look, we were up at 67 right when we started the show, dipped a little below it. Now we're at 68, 135. If I had time, I usually post about this on X. But yeah, I'd like to see that back above 68. So basically, we're mirroring what's kind of happened now. I don't even want to talk, knock on wood here. Last 6 months or so, we've been having about a half an hour to the market. We've been having kind of a dump. I remember early on back in the day, we'd grind up. I'm talking like 17, 18. We'd grind up in Bitcoin price, and Asia would dump on us, man. About 7 o'clock Eastern time, and all through the night, Asia would dump. And it's funny that now Americans are the Jeets, right? That's the joke, and it's not even a joke. But yeah, I like to see that. Think about that. We've now jumped back. We now jump back almost $8,000. Sorry, I've been saying $10,000, but we've jumped back almost $8,000 since the low. So huge day though. Let's look at Ethereum. Wow, Ethereum. And I'm looking here, just so you guys know, I'm looking at the hour candles just to talk about what's happened since we started the show. 1.7%. I'll take that. I'd love to see 2,000 back. I would. I'd love to see that. And BNB, for any BNB fans out there, not so much affected, just kind of sideways. A lot of people who BNB and stuff are not Americans. A lot of them are outside of the U.S. In fact, I would say most. So That's probably why. Not so much affected by the U.S. opening. And here, let's get this for our guy Mass J575. He's saying XRP will have a huge 2026. Look at that. And I told you, much more volatile, upside and downside for months now, for 4 or 5 months now. I mentioned it on this show and the GM Bitcoin show a lot, but check this out. Check this out. Up 5.6% for the day and 2% since we started the show. So yeah, wow, think about it. You could have bought, and a lot of my XRP army friends and a lot of people who love XRP were tweeting it yesterday. Wow, we're getting down here. $1.14 for XRP. I'll tell you what, that's a steal, right? But everything was a steal yesterday. But yeah, look, I'm feeling pretty good. We'll see. We'll check one more time before we. Well, you know what? Let's look at some of the other in the top hunters. This is Crypto Bubbles, by the way. It's a free app. I have it on my desktop and on my phone. I love it because I can just look and it covers the top 1,000 coins here, and you can take a quick look at kind of how things are doing, right? You see this now. Mainly what we see is it's mainly a rally in the blue chips in the top. And there's usually a cycle. There's usually a cycle, right? Usually Bitcoin, Ethereum, then the XRPs, the Solana, and then it kind of trickles down. So I would anticipate, and we'll see what happens, but if we hold these levels, like if we hold this Bitcoin 68,000, we're right on the teetering right now, but if we hold it, then you'll start to see some of these others. But look, I can look down. Wow, XRP 5%, Zcash plus 7.5, Zcash, there's a whole privacy narrative that's been pretty big recently. But you look at some of the mean points, pumped out fun, still down a lot, it just gives you can look here and you can just kind of see what's going on. But Trump down 14.3. You can look, and this is just looking at the top 100. World Liberty Fi down 10.6. One of their main things, World Liberty Fi, is their stable coin. Yeah, down to 11 cents. Wow, that everything's taking a hit. But Tau, one of my favorite AI plays, BitTensor, just had a halvening. Kind of has a halvening, kind of like Bitcoin. Just had a halvening, and I was way up, but probably down now. But it is what it is. Anyway, we'll come back and check. Let's hit some of the news. Yay, thank you, Mass7J75. You're welcome. Keep doing your thing, Ron. Love the show. Hey, glad you're here. Like I say, I've only been on YouTube 3 days, so happy to be here. I've been in the industry 15 years. A lot of these big influencers, I've known them since they had, some of them not even 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, and now some of them are into the millions. Crypto Man Rand, Ivan on Tech, George, my guy George. I've known George forever. My guy Martini, the Martini guy. A lot of these guys I've known personally for long time, and been around even since they were small accounts, and now they're huge accounts. And I never did take the time to do much content other than the X space I've been doing for 4 years. But hey, I just want to come out here with my perspective. Look, I'm older than probably most of you listening. And I've been around. I bought my first stock when I was 5 years old. Not 5 years old, first grade, however old you are there, right? I literally back then you looked at it in the newspaper, the penny stocks, and you'd order them and they'd send your certificate. I was first grade when I bought my first stock. I was the CEO of a publicly traded internet company that I founded for almost 10 years as a $180 to $100 million company. We went public actually before Amazon. I've helped a few other companies go public. So I've been in that industry. I've been around the block. I've founded about 15 companies between the 1 million and 100 million range, 130 million, 115 million, a few different sizes. I've had some failures as well. So have seen some ups, have seen some downs. So hopefully I can give you my idea, and then you take that, you do your own research, and you form what's best for you. These are just my opinions. Like I say, nobody completely knows what's going on out here, but listen to the people, the good people, and then form your own opinion. So glad you guys are able to join in, and appreciate it. Without you guys listening, I certainly wouldn't be doing this. But anyway, good stuff. Let's kind of continue to look. We left with Grant Cardone's son and his airplane. And let me just tell you something, right? I don't know if you guys have flown private or not. there's different ways to own airplanes. Okay. You can do like a net jets, or you can do like net jets, or here, I'm going to walk over and get from my favorite, give me 1 second. Let me see here. I don't want to mess it up too bad. Let's just see. I'll just show you my. I wanted to show you my hat from Nicholas Air. My guys at Nicholas Air. It's kind of like net jets, but a little more private. So let me see if I can. I'll show it here on the screen. There's my Nicholas Air. Let me make the screen a little bit bigger. Okay, there's my Nicholas. It's not doing too good with my green screen. Anyway, Nicholas Air. That's my favorite private jet company. But anyway, with that, I just say that because I want to talk about some of the things here. So let me just tell you something. There's levels when you get into your private jets. Okay, there's levels to these things, and you got the Nicholas Air, which is kind of a little more niche-y company, and then there's the net jets you've heard about. There's quite a few of those where you're kind of fractional ownership. You may pay, let's say, $400,000 a year, and then you may pay, depending on the airplane you use, you might have like a Citation X or something. It might be $5,000 an hour, or you get something like this Bombardier, a G5 or something, where you might pay $12,000, $14,000, $15,000 an hour, and you just use it, and you basically pay from wheels down to wheels up, right? So let's say that I want to fly to Vegas. I call NetJets, or I call Nicholas Air. I've got a membership. They pick me up the closest airport to me. And the beautiful thing about flying private is you can have little airports, right? Much more efficient. You don't have to go to the big airports. They can fly into little airports. They pick me up, and I fly to Vegas. Let's say it's an hour for me. So I just pay for that hour. If it's $5,000 an hour, I pay them the $5,000. If it's $14,000, it's $14,000. Okay. But when you own your own jet like Grant does, and I have a few friends that own your own jet, already having like a Net Jets or Nicholas Air or something like that is already crazy, right? But man, if you own a jet like this type of a jet, which is probably I don't know. I'm going to say it's a $25 to $50 million jet, $35 million. If I had to guess, I don't know. But anyway, so man, Grant Cardone's a baller. I realized that when I saw his jet, and but anyway, I don't know if he's really going to sell his jet or he's just joking, but I'm sure with him, where he has a lot of investors and stuff like that, he's definitely going to need that, right? Flying investors around and stuff. He's raising billions of dollars. Doesn't hurt to have your own jet when you do that. Hey, Willie King from YouTube, probably one of my, I don't know, probably, anyway, appreciate it. Oh, Artie, my man Artie, I was going to say, has to be one of my friends from X that, known for 10 years. Artie, yeah, Artie's a good friend, met up in East Denver before. Artie, I believe in SoCal, San Diego, if I'm not mistaken. So Artie, OG, good friend in the space. But anyway, we left it here. Let's hit a few other things, some more news articles, and I showed you my bear video I made there. This is once again our boy Scott Melker. He's got a really good podcast, by the way, too. So you should follow Scott Melker. You look here on X, he's got 1 million followers, right? So he's a big guy in the space, OG, and I like him. He's not overhype or anything like that, trying to scam you for anything. Definitely something you should follow. Hey, Bull Collector. Okay, Bull Collector's got Bull Collector, one of my longest, oldest friends here and longest followers here on X. Always at my GM morning show for the last 4 years. Anyway, he's got some orders at 59 and 60. That's good. That 59, if we do retest that 200-day moving average, we haven't even hit it, but that's kind of the magnet. Usually if you break the 100-week moving average, you'll usually, historically speaking, hit that 200-day moving average. So that's smart, Bull Collector. 59 and 60. very solid. Those may get filled. Keep in mind too, we got Friday, and then we go into the weekends. What I say on the weekends is don't trust the pump, don't trust the dump. It's very, very low liquidity, okay? You can't trust what you see there. And don't get too excited either way. We'll see what happens when the futures open on Sunday night. Also, we have the weekly close. Bitcoin doesn't and crypto doesn't have a traditional open and close, but they do for charting purposes. There is the weekly close, which comes every Sunday night. I don't know, 6, 7, 8 p.m. Eastern time, something like that. I don't know exactly when it is. The weekly close is important, and then the futures open. And of course, Monday morning, we'll be back at you. And I'll probably come at you a little on the weekend, whether it's with some shorts or some little updates. But yeah, don't panic. But yeah, Bull Collector, I think there's a chance you get those. Very easy to manipulate because guess what? The Wall Street people, they're all on vacation. They're doing their thing. They're in Vegas. They're in the Hamptons. They're hanging out with the family. They're at Disney World, whatever they do, right? They're not watching the markets, just us crypto degens are. But anyway, Scott Melker, good dude. Bitcoin dropped 52% from the October peak to the current bottom. Silver dropped 47% from the recent 6 days to the current bottom. 4 months versus 6 days. Bitcoin is clearly not too volatile. And look, he's just saying that because those of us like Scott Melker and myself, we've been here 10, 15 years, however long. We've heard Bitcoin's dead. Bitcoin's too volatile. We hear that all the time. We just heard it at the, the Davos summit and stuff. It's not a real asset. It can't act like a real asset. Old dipshit Peter Schiff, who I think is a very smart man, and he just likes to FUD Bitcoin. He likes to, it gets him a lot of attention, a lot of clicks. I don't believe for a second. I believe he secretly holds Bitcoin, if not in his name, in his wife's name or kid's name or something like that. But anyway, he loves to FUD Bitcoin, so I like to come at him hard. But one of his things is, it's too volatile and whatever. And here we have it. I mean, there's nothing more solid. There's no more harder asset than silver and gold. But Bitcoin's a hard asset as well. It may act like right now it may act like, and it may be called like our guy I talked yesterday, our guy from The Big Short, Michael Burry saying, hey, it's failed as a store of value, and it hasn't. Look at these store of values, more volatile than Bitcoin. So I think that's his point. So shout out to Wolf of All Streets. Now listen, this is what I want to show you. I pulled up my Instagram. I haven't been on it in years and years. When everyone started kicking Trump off, it pissed me off, the censorship. I got off all social media except X. And that was before Elon bought it. And even it wasn't a bastion of free speech at the time. But anyway, I went back there yesterday. I thought, I'm posting these shorts. I'll post some things, mainly because of TikTok. And so far, I've had a good experience on TikTok. And I can't believe how good their algorithm is. And I've heard that. I've already, with no followers, now I think I have 2 or 3 followers. And same with YouTube. I'm up to like 16 followers, and people are finding me. And you guys are joining me, Artie and Mass J575 and whatnot over on YouTube. So that's cool, man. I'm excited. Of course, Bull Collector coming to us from X. But okay, so let me explain my situation. I haven't made any US dollars in about 10 years since I went full-time crypto. So I'm a huge advocate. And if you look at my timeline, and I'm going to be making more and more content, I had no US dollars. I only had Bitcoin and Ethereum and things like that. How did I spend it? How do I pay for my rent, my hotels, my travel, food, gas, insurance, all that thing? So I've been a huge advocate of using crypto debit cards, and crypto.com was my favorite for a long time. And then till I found CoinZoom, which I'll talk about, which I'm now a big investor in, and in both in the company and the tokens. But anyway, back in the day, I was living on Satoshis. So back in Instagram here, let me see if I can click on the fill picture here. So this was August 7th, 2019. And I knew that one day the thought, and it's still in the future, but one day the thought of owning a whole Bitcoin is going to be inconceivable, right? If your kids or your grandkids say, oh, grandma or grandpa had a whole Bitcoin, it'll be inconceivable. That would be like owning a whole downtown block in Manhattan or something. Inconceivable, right? And I wanted to establish that. So I took this picture of a Red Bull. And at the time, Bitcoin was trading right around $10,000. So I paid 26,000 Satoshis. By the way, Satoshis, for those of you that aren't real or newer to crypto, every Bitcoin can be broken down by 100 million Satoshis, okay? So eventually Satoshis will become kind of like dollars. You won't talk in the term of Bitcoin or a tenth of a Bitcoin. Look, I bought a tenth of a Bitcoin this week. People believe, even CZ and people like the Rich Dad, Poor Dad guy, Robert Kiyosaki, say that 0.1 Bitcoin can make you wealthy. I picked up 0.1 Bitcoin this week, okay? No big deal. Is about, well, at today's price is about $6,000, $7,000. Okay, but we're going to start thinking in Satoshi. So in 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. 6.5 years ago, I posted this, and I had spent 26,000 Satoshis, $2.70 for this Red Bull, which one thing I've realized is Red Bull has gone up since then. Now they're $3, $4. These are the small cans. Okay. At the time, I spent 26,000 Satoshis. Today, just to put that in perspective, today, 26,000 Satoshis, I paid $17 for that Red Bull. And at the height in October, when we were 126,000, I spent $35 for that Red Bull. I want you to think about that. And I hope that you can kind of wrap your head around the importance of stacking Bitcoin and holding it for the long term, right? I bought those Bitcoin and I had to sell Bitcoin. I have a horrible story where this lady thought I owed her money. I really didn't, to be honest with you, but just to put aside, I cashed in 5 Bitcoin and paid. It was like around $20,000 at the time. And that 5 Bitcoin, you know what it's worth today. And I knew I'd regret it, man. I knew I'd regret it. I probably posted about it on X. But anyway, this was something, I have not looked at my Instagram since, to be honest with you. Just got back on my Instagram account yesterday, and only to find that, yeah, and today's Bitcoin price, I paid $17 for that Red Bull, 26,000 Satoshis. I want that to hit home with you and realize how important it is to buy and hold Satoshis. I don't care if it's $10 a day, $10 a week, whatever you can buy. It can be life-changing for you and your family. Love this. Michael Saylor, look, he's like $5 billion upside down right now, or he was, maybe even more, maybe 7, 8 billion. And our guy Beeple who famously sold that NFT for $57 million. Now it's only worth a few million, but anyway, I love this. I stand with Michael. He gets it. I don't know what he made a comment. He was a little tired. I don't know what's with the man boobs there, but Beeple is a bit of a perv anyway. But yeah, I made I don't know. I made a video. I made a Grok video, posted it on TikTok. Hold on, let me take a drink here. But anyway, you got the mood, right? You got the mood. We're all going to work at McDonald's. That's what it felt like yesterday. It was crazy. So shout out to my guy Beeple. And just let me say this. I didn't realize this was really a thing, right? But my gosh, man. My gosh. People on TikTok really believe that Epstein was Satoshi. So look right there. Over 24 mentions of Satoshi were found in the Epstein files, and many of them dating to 2009. This isn't a coincidence. Satoshi is Epstein. I mean, look, Satoshi sure as hell is not Epstein, or Epstein sure as hell wasn't Satoshi. I could spend hours talking about all the analysis and stuff like that of Satoshi, who he was. I think Satoshi's dead, to be honest with you. I think he's dead or in prison. I don't think he's alive. I don't think anyone would sit on that much Bitcoin and not do anything. But anyway, that is funny to me. Another thing we were just talking about, I think there's some, I didn't deep dive into it, but I think that he reached out, our guy Epstein reached out to Michael Saylor and just thought he was too freaking weird. Like, you can't even talk to that guy. He's too really, really weird, right? So anyway, that was kind of funny. And oh, hey, see some new Mufasa. Welcome, Mufasa coming from X GM, brother. And then Tonka there, another OG there on X, the Blue Dragon PFP. Thank you, Tonka. GM, man. Glad you guys found me over here and either on X or YouTube or Rumble, but only been on YouTube for I think it's my third or fourth day. But anyway, crazy times here. Got to wrap up. My other show's getting ready to start. Let me just kind of hit these last few things here. So let's see here. Listen, yesterday, we had big outflows, obviously, but BlackRock did $10 billion in daily trading. So basically, they had to dump about $400 million in Bitcoin. But the key is they also were able to buy it. So they did 2.5 times the volume they've ever done yesterday. So it shows you people are waiting to buy the dips. Yeah, they dumped 400 million in Bitcoin. Guess what? People were waiting there to buy it up, and we see that. But what happened buying the dip? So I will say shout out to everyone out there buying the dip, man. But $10 billion, a historic day, literally 2.5x the volume they've ever had. Okay. Also on my if you watch my show on X, every day I have RWA, real world assets tokenization, and Larry Fink, man. We got Michael Saylor is kind of the lead voice for Bitcoin, right? Of course, we got Tom Lee. Poor Tom Lee had to be close to 10 billion upside down yesterday. I know for sure 7.5 billion upside down. Look, rough times. Hopefully they've structured it so they can't get a margin call. Don't feeling too much pressure from their investors. But I will say this, and I will say an up and coming thing is tokenization. RWA, real world assets, tokenization, right? We see the tokenization. And Larry Fink, the head of BlackRock, one of the biggest financial institutions in the world, we're not spending enough time talking about how quickly we're going to tokenize every financial asset. We're talking stocks, real estate, everything, right? We're not bullish enough is what I'll say. And Vitalik, quit selling, bro. Now it's 14 million. And I know he's giving it to charity, but how can you be that freaking out of it, right? That you're selling. Quit selling, brother. I don't care if it's going to charity. Why would you be selling into this dip, right? Crazy. And made it worse because perception's important. He's the face of Ethereum, dude. And I get it's a teeny point we talked about on the show yesterday. Brother, quit selling. Wake up. And also Metaplanet came out, the second biggest Bitcoin treasury, and they said, CEO said, we will steadily continue to accumulate Bitcoin. So they're not panicking. They're not going away. Michael Saylor's not going away. Look, I got to jump on my other show. Let's take a quick look, see how we're doing. Looks like, we couldn't quite hold that 60. Let's look at the hour chart. Couldn't quite hold that 68,000, but better than the 67,000 when we started the show. Let's see how we do this weekend. Don't panic. Touch some grass. Maybe shut the phone off for the week. Buy the dip if you can. I say these are good times. Like I said, I've been here for 15 years. I've seen this so many times. But anyway, appreciate everyone joining the show today. Our friends out there on YouTube and Rumble, and especially, of course, on X. Looks like we have 884 live listeners. So you can come over if you want. Catch me on the GM opening morning show crypto. I'm jumping on right now. We'll be covering a lot of the same stuff, but we have some hosts, co-hosts, and speakers. Come up there, speak your mind. Great talking to you guys. Have a great weekend. Don't trust the pump. Don't trust the dump on weekends. It's low volume. We'll see you guys again on Monday.